The judge said his hands were tied. The judge said this was not his sentence. Are they giving truck drivers 110 years for accidents? It don't appear as if the man had any drugs in his system, right? Because they would have said that. That would have been the first thing they said, right? So it don't appear that the man had any drugs in the system. It just appears that he was a truck driver that had a fatal crash. What do you think about this whole situation, Mr. Blue?
I don't know the details of the case. So obviously, it had to be a reason why he got that many years. Accidents happen.
Mr. Blue, they didn't say it in the news. You know, they would have said he had something in his system. It seemed as he said it. He don't know why God chose him to live. He don't know why it happened. He don't know why God chose that to happen to him. But my thing is too, 110 years. That judge said it was out of his hands. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. If this guy would have been white, come on, man. 10 years probation for the rest of your life, something like that.
That's the point I was going to get to before I was cut off. It obviously had something to do with his race. What city was this?
I'm not sure about Denver, but I think it was somewhere in Colorado for sure.
Okay. So, I mean, we know how, his race is targeted, much like our race is targeted. I don't know the conditions of the race. It says it was stemming from a brake failure. So if anything, the manufacturer or maybe the company itself is at fault. What could this man have done differently to avoid this accident that killed 4 people? Just by the brief reading I looked from the internet, I see no significant fault by him. What I see is a significant fault with the machinery. And I think it's wrong that this man was sentenced to 110 years for accidentally killing someone when cops purposely kill people and get off. That's all I got to say about it.
It's a tragic situation. And I think when I read up on it, I don't think he had any drugs or alcohol in his system. As the brother just said, it was a failure on the brakes or whatever. How he was actually charged and prosecuted, it behooves me. Of course, and I'm going to always stand on the fact of it's a race factor, that they're going to target Spanish, Hispanics, blacks, Mexicans. We all in the same group. We all are one and the same. And so they're going to always pursue these charges on us no matter what. They're not going to give us a pass at all. And hence the case of Jesse Smollett. They're gonna charge. They're gonna be special prosecutors. They're gonna make sure they charge us no matter what. The facts of the matter is that the situation, just a tragic situation, is an accident, and that's just the bottom line. As far as him giving them 110 years, I don't believe that's a mandatory. I don't think that was no mandatory number he had to give him. So he said he was tied by law, unless he said the mandatory minimum was 110 years. I don't think the mandatory minimum for the charges of the case was 110 years. So I don't think he had a mandatory minimum. So he had discretion. Anytime, whatever his name, Kalen Rittenhouse, 17-year-old can get away with coming down to Wisconsin, killing 2 people and hurting another one. He could carry a gun across state lines and get away with all this. And then you have this case here with this guy here in the truck. He's Spanish, a Mexican or whatever. And the truck have a malfunction, and they charge him and drag him into the courtroom and get a jury to convict him and give him 110 years. I mean, you have to see how sick the system is, how sick America is. Bottom line, man. The man should have 110 years. And I think also, as I've been reading up on it, the petition came out, a petition got passed around. I think so many millions of people have signed a petition to seek the man to get clemency or a pardon. So I know that's in the works for him. So people speaking out about it.
Looks like the technicality was he was driving 85 and a 70, and that is considered careless driving. And so all the other charges would trump up on top of that because of that going too fast on the interstate. So That's why it went the way it went. And when they just like we saw in the Rittenhouse case, how the judge gives very specific instructions to the jury. Probably one of those cases. I hope that this petition works, because that's a lot of time for an accident that he did not intentionally do. I mean, they gave him vehicular manslaughter. Vehicular manslaughter, by definition, is I purposely take my car and run you over to kill you. This wasn't on purpose.
Candace, what do you feel about this?
I mean, we have to kind of look at it like this, right? So think about how many cases we've seen where people have been, given a lot of years for something small, nonviolent offenses, small, small quantities of marijuana, right? I think this is another case of, let's set the example. That's what I see it as. Let's set the example in this case. I think that's a little excessive for something that was, a vehicle problem. But then at the same time, we got to think about the flip side of it. Let's think about the business side. If it was on the manufacturer or the company that owned the truck, then that company get to sue, the families get to sue those companies for millions, probably put them out of business. So in this case, they got a scapegoat. That's how I see it. Sad. But I hope that petition works. But I look at it like this. He didn't even understand why he was charged with that many years. He didn't understand any of that. For someone that didn't have anything in his system, no bad driving record, no previous criminal history, anything like that, it's a little excessive. So I hope that the petition works. But to me, I feel like this is just an example of the legal system making a scapegoat an example out of somebody. Sad.
And furthermore, if you driving a big truck like that, hey, if you going 70 miles an hour, he was going 5 miles over 70 miles an hour, and them brakes, anything went out in that truck, hey, people were still gonna die. 65, 70, 80 miles an hour, that's fast, especially for a big rig.
And no telling if his brakes went out if he was going over a hill. You know what I'm saying? Right. Coming from some place that was pushing him faster. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Nah, yeah, and from the sound of his voice, he doesn't sound like he's a Native American, like he was born here. And I know in different countries they don't drive the same way as we drive here. They if I look at videos in India, they driving bikes, geese, ducks, everything in the street. So when foreigners come over here, they don't necessarily know the American driving ways and things like that. And so I'm pretty sure he didn't know, but I'm not sure what the example is. Is the example against foreigners coming over here? But I definitely see it as him being a scapegoat, because it's easy to send somebody who's not from here, who don't know anything, rather than go at the business for actually having faulty equipment. Like, who hired him? They should be. If he's the one that's taking the blame, then they can't put the blame on the business. They can't really put the blame on the truck company or anything like that. So I want to say that, and I also want to say that he might possibly had a horrible lawyer, probably a public defender that worked for the state and worked to get him that much time. So that's also a case of not having the funds. So it's a perfect scapegoat. It's perfect. He's not from here. He's not one of theirs. And yes, it definitely looked like an accident. Whether he was going 86 miles per hour, that is pretty fast. And RIP to the people that lost their life. But we're from different countries. I don't think the blame should be completely on that foreigner. I think we should look at that who the blame should be on a little bit closer.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our next video.